to be shaped as. I do think that we should work on shaping this mandate together. Perhaps the mandate that we can get from our current very confusing constitution is one that is rather, I guess, maybe not applicable to the student body anymore, since that constitution is quite old. Well, considering the lifespan of our university is quite old. Lauren, Dan, and I focus a lot of our platform on creating a constitutional reform, and one of the things that we'd like to receive a lot of input from both the current SRC members, the future elected, the soon elected SRC members, as well as the entire student body, is how much of a mission should that constitution be responsible for, and what should that mission be. So it would be lovely to have everyone's input if that project goes forward.
So just to quickly reiterate the question, I just want to make sure I have it correct. Is the question, what is your vision for SRC next year?
My question is, what do you see as the purpose or mandate of the SRC as a body on campus?
I see the SRC as a body that can do so much more. My vision for the SRC, I believe that the SRC should be a political body for students to engage with the administration and within its body moving forward. I also think it should be a body that allows students to fulfill initiatives and projects specifically by funding more things on campus. And so that's kind of what I'm currently running on with, and it's also a platform that I want to support the other candidates, because I agree with both James and Marcella, Lauren, and Dan on a lot of the things that they're saying. Where we disagree, of course, is these little things that,
Okay. I'm going to try to answer the question very directly and very succinctly. It is a good, but it's also a hard question. So one, to try to unite the student body. So whether that is through enabling students to host events or to have clubs that can engage different individuals in different sort of social circles. To facilitate political community. So mostly for me that is advocating, so it's first actively seeking out the interests of different people in our student body, and then advocating for that.
You were answering to everyone.
Yeah, okay, but it was your question, and I saw you were frustrated with the way we answered it, sorry. Right, so to seek that out and to advocate on behalf of the students for whom it's hard to have a unanimous voice without a body like the SRC to the administration.
Dan, here's a question for you. So the platform your party presented suggested dividing funding meetings up to 3 meetings. Can you speak to the concerns some students have expressed that this would be too many meetings and would lead to further student participation?
So the way we tried to phrase it was to have 3 different tracks. So there would be a fast track, like there is already, under $250. There'd be like sort of the regular track, say up to $2,000, and then a large track. So these would not necessarily be 3 separate meetings, but the idea behind it is that we can keep going on the fast track to reduce that bureaucracy. We can have a regular track, which would have to go into the reformation of the general restructuring that we've been talking about so far tonight. And then the large track is specifically a separate, and that will be a separate meeting too, but that is actually designed to have more student engagement on these large projects. And so it's almost to say that there should be a quorum to make it a part of the mandate of what that sort of proposal is about, to incorporate student voice. So instead of having an open meeting and saying, well, if you're interested in Dancing Bear, then you should come and talk to us, but actively seeking out student voice on Dancing Bear. And one way to do that would be through the restructuring into direct representation that we've been talking about before.
Okay, we're going to take 4 more student questions, and then we're going to open it up to the candidates to question each other.
This question is for James. So you mentioned in your introductory remarks that the president sets the tone of the team. In my experience of working with you on the SRC this year, there were times that your behavior created both interpersonal and political conflict on the SRC. how do you plan to set the tone of next year's SRC differently?
Absolutely, and I think I likely have done that as well, and I acknowledge that as like a fault on my part in how I approached this past year on the SRC. How I plan to set that forward is purposely trying to push myself back in certain circumstances to allow others to collaborate more and others to share more opinions so that I can get a better understanding. Not just hearing people, but like listening and hearing at the same time, and fully trying to understand where others are coming from and what they're trying to speak, I think is how I want to move forward. I'm sort of learning a lot of these, taking a lot of like the faults or where I've sort of had issues with personal communication, and trying to learn from them to not only better myself as an individual, because I think that's incredibly valuable, but how I can more effectively communicate within an organization and as a group and with those individuals. So I think that is a good start, but I'm also going to be actively looking at ways that I can increase the amount that I'm listening and hearing people.
Thank you.
Hi. My question is, what do you identify as the biggest problem within the student body, and what would you go about to tackle that problem?
So one thing that we have been talking about a lot throughout our campaign, which I believe Dan has brought forward in this debate already, is the lack of community in the Quest student body. We do acknowledge that we are 700, 800 people already. It is simply unrealistic to think that we can all come together and be good Questies, because that's not a concept and it shouldn't be. We should be able to acknowledge the diversity of Quest experiences that exist among our student body. However, we do think that the SRC plays a central role in facilitating enough opportunity so that the needs of all different groups of Quest, however different they might be, can all be catered and all supported in similar, respectful, equitable manners. One of the ways that we think of doing that is, first of all, as we have always been talking about, reforming the Constitution, reducing bureaucracy so more people can come in and call us out on what we're doing wrong, and actually be heard and see actions being taken to improve that, and working on big long-term projects that we think are going to have a really, really good positive impact on the Quest community for the years to come.
Yeah, I'll just be very brief. I could give a similar, slightly different speech, but I essentially fully agree with Marcella, which is why we're running a platform.
I don't know how to follow Dan, that was a little much. I think one of the biggest problems that's facing the Quest student body right now is similarly community, but not so much the idea of community, but cohesion and understanding. And that is the understanding of the fact that we can't be a close-knit community anymore, that we have 700 people and it's literally impossible. And so you need to figure out ways that you can create communication networks and ways to work together and ways to come together as these very diverse and different groups with different opinions, cultures, backgrounds, races and religions and all those things, and actually work as a student body and work for the greater good of benefiting the student body. And so not so much community, but cohesion and understanding.
Okay, we'll go to the next student question. Eva?
Hi, I have an incoming question from an alumni, Eric Capali from Twitter, and he's wondering what you guys are going to do about alumni relations. It's been something that's largely overlooked by the SRC in the past and also by Quest. And he thinks that the SRC can do a way better job than the university can at reaching out to them. So how would you do that, and what are you going to do?
So I've actually already been talking with Leslie Dubee, who's the Director of Alumni Relations, in how that can happen. One of the initiatives, ironically, we actually talked about today with the SRC, decided to keep talking with her to try and change that, involving David Helfin. And so one of the things that I think is important is that the Student Representative Council is not just representative of students, but it actually supports alumni and alumni relations and connecting alumni with current students as well. I think it's incredibly valuable that we have a lot of alumni doing some incredible things, regardless if it's starting a business or attending Yale and different doctorate programs around the world at some incredible institutions. And so I think we could really learn from those individuals, as well as better understand the position of Quest and how they themselves view Quest and how we are changing it.
I think one way the SRC could really focus on developing student-alumni relations is maybe hosting events where alumni come back and talk about the experiences that they've gone through, where they are now, and kind of foster a student-alumni relationship that way. It would be nice to see things going along that trend.
Very much agree, obviously, with the comments that have been made thus far. I do think that it's not only important that alum knows the things that we are get informed about the things that we as an SRC will be doing for this school, but that they get actually involved and invited to participate, because having been here before, they probably care about this community still, regardless of what they're doing after. And in fact, some of the long-term projects that Dan and Lauren and I have been working in our platform involve seeking out alum input, because a lot of the ideas that we have been having, the things that we are talking about as a student body right now, have already been talked about, or ideas that were already brought up years ago by other students. So we want to learn from their experiences, what worked and what didn't work, how could it be improved. And if you're working in those areas right now, they can be the ones giving us advice on how those things actually work, because they're working professionals, they're people that care about this community, I'm assuming.
To go off of that, I think it would be great if we could work together with alumni to build some institutional memory. So that is very similar to what Marcella was talking about so far. So coming up is the Race, Power, and Privilege Symposium, and I was talking to some folks last week because there's an alumni returning to campus, Terry, whom I have not met personally ever, but Tari, sorry. Oh, there you go. But these things are great, where we can build off of the conversations that have already happened in this very building, and see how we can wrap our heads around a way to capture these ideas and to retain it in our campus discussions. How? That's a very big question, and I'll be honest that I don't have one great answer to that right now. Yeah.
This question is for Lauren. When I ran for the SRC, I ran in an uncontested election. You are running an executive position in an uncontested election for the vice president. So you're running on a platform of representation. Do you think running uncontested is representative? And if not, do you think it would be more representative to develop a student body to no vote and rerun in a contested executive election?
I really don't like running by myself for vice president. I think it's not very democratic. There's only one person. I think there definitely should be more. So I really encourage everyone, if you don't want me to be VP, vote no. That is an option, and you can do it, and it's totally within your power to do that. I would rather, to be honest, I would rather run against someone. I think that's more representative. You still have to vote me in. There's still that power, so use it.
To make sure everyone is clear on how voting works, in your position,